was Christmas, 1977. My brother Johnny received a go-kart, kind of fun gift for Christmas. So my family, there are 7 kids, and my mom and dad, we all ran outside and got lined up to take our turn on the go-kart. And my dad, the physician, was the first one to get on that go-kart. He turned into a little kid as he sat down on the seat and rode on the snow-covered road into Van Damia's, our neighbor's, driveway. He got the steering wheel and just tore it over to the right-hand side, thinking he was going to spin out. Instead, the go-kart jolted into the driveway and slammed into Van Damia's garage door with a big thud. We all sat there. My poor brother Johnny, he had just witnessed the first incident with his go-kart. It had just sustained its first injury. Later on, the day wore on, and my brother John and I, we still hadn't had our fill of the go-kart. So we went outside, and now it's nighttime. And I watched as John disappeared into the evening, into the darkness, with his long scarf blowing in the wind behind him. It was just really beautiful, beautiful snowflakes, these huge snowflakes falling gently from the sky and landing on the earth below. This was Erie, Pennsylvania. We get really big winters and we get beautiful winter nights, and this was one of them. So now John's coming back down the road, and I could hear the go-kart, and all of a sudden it just stopped. And I'm standing there, I'm still kind of in my trance with this beautiful silence surrounding me and the snow falling. And I thought, what's he doing? But I was in my little world, and by the grace of God, someone opened the door of my home, and my family's really loud and boisterous, and I just heard all this noise. It just invaded this beautiful peace that was surrounding me. But because of that, it nudged me, and I thought, I'm gonna go check and see what Johnny's doing. So I walked over pretty slowly to the go-kart, and John wasn't moving. And I looked, and all I could see was this bundle of winter clothing, and he was wearing one of those black masks, that just has a slit for the eyes and the nose and the mouth, and his eyes were closed. And I just looked at him, and I said, Johnny, and I said, you better not be kidding. And then I saw what had happened. That scarf, that long winter scarf, had wrapped around, it got caught around the back drive axle, and it had yanked his neck all the way back, and it was choking him. And I knew immediately, the decision I made would determine whether or not my brother would die or continue to live that evening. And so I just went tearing across the front yard and threw open the door of the front door of my parents' home and just went screaming into the house. The scarf, it's choking him, the scarf. And little by little, the loudness just subsided. And my family, they were turning their heads and just startled. They were looking at me like, what is she talking about? But that's all I could say. It was a scarf, it's choking him. And my sister Janine was the first to understand what was going on, and she tore out of the house. My father and I trailed behind her. By the time we got to Johnny and the go-kart, Janine thankfully had unraveled this scarf, and that death grip that it had on my brother was now gone. And my father gathered him into his arms, this limp body, and carried him into the garage, placed him on the ground, and the family huddled around and just watched and waited in shock and terror, not knowing what was going to happen. A trickle of blood came out of Johnny's nose, and he started coughing. And that blood was because that happened because the scarf was choking him. And now my dad actually was performing CPR on him, and that's when my brother coughed and he started breathing again. And it wasn't until later that I realized the irony of that evening. Here it was Christmas. We're celebrating life, Christ's birth. And we almost lost my brother that night until my father breathed life back into him. Now my brother, John, is a grown man. He's a loving husband, and proud father of 4 wonderful children who are celebrating life together. Thank you. Oh, I forgot to mention that he no longer wears a scarf while he's riding a go-kart.